14. Explanation of the Discourse on Swift Progress. Thus, I will explain the meaning of the Discourse on Swift Progress. 921. 915. The questioner asked, O descendant of the sun, I ask you, O great sage, I inquire about seclusion and further, about the tranquil abode. How does a monk see to attain nirvana, without clinging to anything in the world? 1. O descendant of the sun, I ask you, question refers to three kinds of questions. 1. The question that illuminates what has not yet been seen. 2. The question that adapts what has already been seen. And 3. The question that cuts off doubt. 1. What is the question that illuminates what has not yet been seen? Originally, the specific characteristics are unknown, unseen, unexamined, unmeasured, unclear, and indistinct, and one asks a question to know, see, compare, measure, and clarify them. This is the question that illuminates what has not yet been seen. 2. What is the question that adapts what has already been seen? Originally, the specific characteristics are known, seen, compared, measured, clarified, and distinct, and one asks a question to adapt this knowledge with other wise ones. This is the question that adapts what has already been seen. 3. What is the question that cuts off doubt? Originally, one who has fallen into doubt or questioning, or who has two possibilities arise, asks, is it truly so? Is it really not? What exactly is it? How exactly is it? With the purpose of cutting off doubt. This is the question that cuts off doubt. These are the three types of questions. There are also three other types of questions. 1. Human questions. 2. Non-human, spirit or demon questions. And 3. Questions from magically created beings. 1. What is a human question? Humans approach the awakened one, the blessed one, and ask questions. Monks ask, nuns ask, laymen ask, laywomen ask, kings ask, nobles ask, Brahmins ask, commoners ask, servants ask, householders ask, and renunciants ask. This is the human question. 2. What is a non-human question? Non-humans approach the awakened one, the blessed one, and ask questions. Dragons ask, Garudas ask, Yakshas ask, Asuras ask, Gandharvas ask, great kings ask, Indra gods ask, Brahma gods ask, and Devas ask. This is the non-human question. 3. What is the question from a magically created being? Thus, the blessed one magically creates his own form, made by the mind, complete with all limbs and perfect senses, and the magically created being approaches the awakened one, the blessed one, and asks a question, and the blessed one answers him. This is the question from a magically created being. These are the three types of questions. There are also three other types of questions. 1. A question for one's own benefit. 2. A question for another's benefit. And 3. A question for both benefits. There are also three other types of questions. 1. A question about the Dhamma of the present life. 2. A question about the future benefit. And 3. A question about the supreme truth. There are also three other types of questions. 1. A question about the benefit of the sinless. 2. A question about the benefit of the undefiled. And 3. A question about the benefit of purification. There are also three other types of questions. 1. A question about the past. 2. A question about the future. And 3. A question about the present. There are also three other types of questions. 1. An internal question. 2. An external question. And 3. An internal and external question. There are also three other types of questions. 1. A good question. 2. A bad question. And 3. An undetermined question. There are also three other types of questions. 1. A question about the 5 aggregates. 2. A question about the 18 elements. And 3. A question about the 12 sense bases. There are also three other types of questions. 1. A question about the 4 establishments of mindfulness. 2. A question about the 4 right efforts. And 3. A question about the 4 bases of spiritual power. There are also three other types of questions. 1. A question about the 5 faculties. 2. A question about the 5 powers. And 3. A question about the 7 factors of enlightenment. There are also three other types of questions. 1. A question about the path. 2. A a question about the fruit, and 3. A question about nirvana. I ask you means I ask you, I beseech you, I request you, I trust you, please speak to me. Thus, I ask you, O descendant of the sun Adhika, is called the day, Surya, the sun god. The day is of the Gautama lineage. The Blessed One is also of the Gautama lineage. The Blessed One is a relative and kin of the sun by lineage. Therefore, the Awakened One is a descendant of the sun. Thus, O descendant of the sun, I ask you. O great sage, I inquire about seclusion and further, about the tranquil abode. Seclusion refers to 3 kinds of seclusion. 1. Physical seclusion, 2. Mental seclusion, and 3. Seclusion from support. 1. What is physical seclusion? Here, a monk resides in a secluded dwelling place such as a forest, at the foot of a tree, on a mountain, in a valley, in a cave, in a charnel ground, in the wilderness, in an open space, or in a haystack, and lives as one physically secluded. He goes alone, stands alone, sits alone, makes his resting place alone, enters the village alone for alms, returns alone, sits alone in a quiet place, meditating, establishes walking meditation alone, walks alone, lives alone, behaves alone, practices alone, guards his actions, maintains himself and sustains himself. This is physical seclusion. 2. What is mental seclusion? For one who attains the first absorption, the mind becomes secluded from the 5 hindrances. For one who attains the second absorption, the mind becomes secluded from coarse thinking and subtle thoughts. For one who attains the third absorption, the mind becomes secluded from joy. For one who attains the 4th absorption, the mind becomes secluded from pleasure and pain. For one who attains the base of infinite space, the mind becomes secluded from form perception, opposition perception, and various perceptions. For one who attains the base of infinite consciousness, the mind becomes secluded from the perception of the base of infinite space. For one who attains the base of nothingness, the mind becomes secluded from the perception of the base of infinite consciousness. For one who attains the base of neither perception nor non-perception, the mind becomes secluded from the perception of the base of nothingness. For a stream enterer, the mind becomes secluded from the view of having a body, doubt, adherence to precepts and observances, latent tendencies of wrong views, latent tendencies of doubt, and further, from the defilements of the same level. For a once returner, the mind becomes secluded from gross craving for objects, gross hostility, latent tendencies of gross craving for objects, latent tendencies of gross hostility, and further, from the defilements of the same level. For a non-returner, the mind becomes secluded from subtle craving for objects, subtle hostility, latent tendencies of subtle craving for objects, latent tendencies of subtle hostility, and further, from the defilements of the same level. For an arahant, the mind becomes secluded from craving for the form realm, craving for the formless realm, conceit, restlessness, ignorance, latent tendencies of conceit, latent tendencies of craving for existence, latent tendencies of ignorance, and further, from all external forms. This is mental seclusion. 3. What is seclusion from support? Support is explained as defilements, aggregates, and formations. Seclusion from support is explained as the deathless nirvana. That is, the complete cessation of all formations, the abandonment of all supports, the extinction of craving, detachment, cessation, and nirvana. This is seclusion from support. 1. Physical seclusion belongs to those who have secluded bodies and delight in detachment. 2. Mental seclusion belongs to those whose minds have become perfectly pure and have reached the highest purification. 3. Seclusion from support belongs to those who have reached the point of leaving behind the functioning of forming existence without support. Tranquility refers to a state where, through one aspect, it is both tranquility and the realm of tranquility, being precisely that as an entity the two are identical, the deathless nirvana. Namely, it is precisely this, the cessation of all formations, the renunciation of all supports, the extinction of craving, detachment, cessation, nirvana. Precisely this was proclaimed by the Blessed One. This is the tranquil realm. This is the subtle realm. Namely, this is the cessation of all formations, the renunciation of all supports, the extinction of craving, detachment, cessation, nirvana. Furthermore, through another aspect, if those dhammas, qualities, equally lead to the attainment of tranquility, to the realization of tranquility, to the verification of tranquility, namely these 4 establishments of mindfulness for right efforts, for bases of spiritual power, 5 faculties, 5 powers, 7 factors of enlightenment, and the Noble Eightfold Path. These dhammas are called the tranquil realm, the refuge realm, the sanctuary realm, the safe haven realm, the fearless realm, the deathless realm, the immortal realm, the nirvana realm. Great Sage. Why is the Blessed One considered the Great Sage, Great Seeker? One who searches for, pursues, and thoroughly seeks the great category of discipline is called the Great Sage. One who searches for similarly applies to categories like concentration, wisdom, liberation, insight into liberation. One who searches for, pursues, and thoroughly seeks to shatter the great system of darkness, to destroy the great inversion, to pull out the great arrow of craving, to unravel the great knot of views, to cast down the great banner of conceit, to calm the great activity, to cross over the great flood, to lay down the great burden, to sever the great cycle of sasra and its arising, to extinguish the great heat of suffering, to bring peace to the great anguish, to raise the great banner of Dhamma, truth, to pursue the great 4 establishments of mindfulness, and other practices like the 4 right efforts for bases of spiritual power, 5 faculties, 5 powers, 7 factors of enlightenment, the Noble Eightfold Path, and ultimately the supreme truth of the deathless nirvana. Or, one who is sought after, pursued, and thoroughly searched for by great beings with authority. Where is the awakened one? Where is the blessed one? Where is the heavenly one? Where is the bull among men? Thus, they are called the Great Sage. Therefore, the question is asked, Great Sage, we inquire about solitude and the tranquil realm. How does a monk see and reach nirvana? How does one see, observe, compare, measure, discern, clarify, and extinguish within oneself greed, anger, delusion, resentment, hatred, hypocrisy, cruelty, jealousy, stinginess, illusion, cunning, stubbornness, agitation, conceit, arrogance, negligence, all defilements of mind, all evil actions, all distress, all anguish, all heat of suffering, and all unwholesome activities? How does one calm them, tranquilize them, cease them, and bring them to rest? A monk refers either to a virtuous ordinary monk or to a monk still in training. Hence, the question, how does a monk see and reach nirvana? Whatever exists in the world without attachment, without clinging, grasping, adhering, or fixating through the 4 kinds of clinging. In the world refers to the world of bad places, the human world, the celestial world, the world of the 5 aggregates, the world of the 18 elements, and the world of the 12 sense bases. Whatever refers to anything formed, felt, conceived, conditioned, or cognized. Therefore, whatever exists in the world without attachment. Thus, the interlocutor said, the questioner asked, O descendant of the sun, I ask you, Great Sage, I inquire about solitude and the tranquil realm. How does a monk see and reach nirvana, whatever exists in the world without attachment? 922. 916. Thus, the Blessed One answered, break through the root of fictitious names, conceptual constructs used in worldly understanding, with clear wisdom, declaring, I exist, and remove any cravings within, always being mindful and learning without negligence. Thus, the Blessed One answered, break through the root of fictitious names, declaring, I exist, with clear wisdom. Fictitious names are precisely fictions. 1. They are fictions of craving, and 2. Fictions of view. 1. What is the root of craving's fiction? Ignorance is the root. Unwise attention is the root. The conceit, I am, is the root. Lack of shame is the root. Lack of conscience is the root. Restlessness is the root. These are the roots of craving's fiction. 2. What is the root of view's fiction? Ignorance is the root. Unwise attention is the root. The conceit, I am, is the root. Lack of shame is the root. Lack of conscience is the root. Restlessness is the root. These are the roots of view's fiction. Bhagava is a synonym for respect. Moreover, one who has destroyed greed, bhaga, anger, delusion, conceit, views, the thorn of craving and mental defilements is called Bhagava. One who has divided Bhaji, the treasures of Dhamma, distinguished them clearly, is called Bhagava. One who brings the ultimate end to existences, Bhava, cultivating body, discipline, mind, and wisdom, is called Bhagava. Or, the Bhagava dwells in quiet forests and wildernesses, preferring solitude, with few sounds and little human presence, and thus is called Bhagava. Or, the Bhagava shares baggin, robes, almsfood, lodgings, and medicines for illness, and thus is called Bhagava. Or, the Bhagava partakes of the taste of meaning, the taste of Dhamma, the taste of liberation, excellent discipline, excellent meditation, and excellent wisdom, and thus is called Bhagava. Or, the Bhagava possesses the 4 meditative absorptions, jhanas, the 4 immeasurables, loving kindness, compassion, sympathetic joy, equanimity, and the 4 formless attainments, and thus is called Bhagava. Or, the Bhagava possesses the 8 liberations, the 8 victorious powers, the 9 successive attainments, and thus is called Bhagava. Or, the Bhagava cultivates the 10 recollections, the 10 pervasive meditations, mindfulness of breathing and meditations on impurity, and thus is called Bhagava. Or, the Bhagava possesses the 4 establishments of mindfulness, the 4 right efforts, the 4 bases of spiritual power, the 5 faculties, the 5 powers, the 7 factors of enlightenment, and the noble eightfold path, and thus is called Bhagava. Or, the Bhagava possesses the 10 powers of a Tathagata, the 4 fearlessnesses, the 4 unhindered knowledges, the 6 divine powers, and the 6 qualities of a Buddha, and thus is called Bhagava. The name Bhagava was not created by mother, father, siblings, friends, relatives, ascetics, Brahmas, or gods. It is the ultimate concept of liberation, verified upon the attainment of omniscience at the root of the Bodhi tree by the fully awakened ones, namely the Bhagava. Thus the Bhagava answered, break through the root of fictitious names. Break through the root of fictitious names, declaring I exist, with clear wisdom. Clear wisdom is said to be wisdom, namely, wisdom, awareness, discernment, investigation, discrimination of the Dhamma, truth, examination, close inspection, thorough scrutiny, sagacity, intelligence, precision, clarity, reasoning, close observation, insight, reflection, comprehensively guiding knowledge, observing, Vipassana, contemplative meditation, right understanding, a whip for guidance, wisdom, panna, the faculty of wisdom, panandriya, the power of wisdom, panabala, the sharp blade of wisdom, the lofty tower of wisdom, the radiance of wisdom, the brilliance of wisdom, the lamp of wisdom, the treasure of wisdom, free from delusion, discrimination of the Dhamma, truth, and correct view. This is what is called clear wisdom. I exist refers to considerations of form. I exist, the desire I exist, the latent tendency I exist. Concerning feeling, concerning perception, concerning formations, concerning consciousness. The consideration I exist, the desire I exist, the latent tendency I exist. Thus, the Blessed One answered, break through the root of fictitious names. Break through all attachments to I exist with clear wisdom, and further, break through the root of fictitious names, and also the consideration I exist with clear wisdom. All of these should be destroyed, broken apart, brought to cessation, calmed, ended, and brought to peace. Thus, the Blessed One answered, break through the root of fictitious names, and all attachments to I exist with clear wisdom. If there are any cravings within, if there are any means entirely throughout everything, in every respect throughout all things, without remainder or residue, completely taking up matters. This is what is meant by, if there are any. Craving refers to craving for forms. Briefly, craving for mental objects, dhammas. Within means that craving equally arises internally. Thus, within. Furthermore, what is internal is called the mind. Namely, mind, thought, mano, intention, manasa, heart, the white one, the realm of cognition, thought, mano, the domain of thought, Mahāniddesa, the faculty of thought, Manindriya, consciousness, Vaya, the aggregate of consciousness, Vyakanda, and the sphere of consciousness corresponding to it, Vyadhatu. That craving becomes united with the mind, co-arisen, intertwined, connected, sharing one arising, one cessation, one base, one object. Thus, within. Therefore, if there are any cravings within, in order to remove them, always be mindful and learn without negligence. Always means always, at all times, in every moment, continuously, without interruption, like waves rising in water, without gaps, successively, accompanying, touching, before meals, after meals, in the first watch, evening, middle watch, midnight, last watch, early morning, during the dark fortnight, waning moon, during the bright fortnight, waxing moon, during the rainy season, winter, summer, early life, youth, middle life, prime, and later life, old age. Mindful means becoming mindful through four aspects. One who practices mindfulness of the body in the body becomes mindful. One who practices mindfulness of feelings in feelings, of the mind in the mind, of dhammas in dhammas becomes mindful. Through another set of four aspects, one also becomes mindful. Avoiding all unmindfulness makes one mindful. Having practiced all the dhammas that should be practiced makes one mindful. Breaking through all the dhammas that bind mindfulness makes one mindful. Not forgetting the characteristics of mindfulness makes one mindful. Through another set of four aspects, possessing mindfulness makes one mindful. Abiding through mindfulness makes one mindful. Becoming proficient through mindfulness makes one mindful. Not diminishing mindfulness makes one mindful. Through another set of four aspects, being present as one makes one mindful. Calming the mind makes one mindful. Tranquilizing the mind makes one mindful. Possessing the nature of tranquility makes one mindful. Recollecting the Buddha makes one mindful. Recollecting the Dhamma makes one mindful. Recollecting the Sangha makes one mindful. Recollecting virtue makes one mindful. Recollecting generosity makes one mindful. Recollecting the devas makes one mindful. Mindfulness of breathing, anapanasati, makes one mindful. Mindfulness of death, maranasati, makes one mindful. Mindfulness of the body's nature, kayagatasati, makes one mindful. Recollecting tranquility makes one mindful. Namely, mindfulness, sati, recollection, present mindfulness, as mindfulness. Attention, retention, enumeration, non-forgetting, as mindfulness. The faculty of mindfulness, satindriya. The power of mindfulness, satabala. Right mindfulness, samasati. The enlightenment factor of mindfulness, satisambojjhanga, and the one-way path. This is called mindfulness. One who possesses, completes, owns, fulfills, has, fully possesses, or equips oneself with this mindfulness is called a mindful person. Learn without negligence. There are three kinds of learning. 1. The higher training in virtue. 2. The higher training in concentration. And 3. The higher training in wisdom. 1. What is the higher training in virtue? Here, a monk lives virtuously in the world, governed by the code of discipline, padamaka, abides in proper practice and conduct, sees danger in minor offenses, undertakes the precepts and studies in the training rules. The small category of precepts, the large category of precepts, support, basis, initial practice, action, restraint, control, and the entrance into various wholesome qualities, dhammas, serve as the head and chief. This is the higher training in virtue. 2. What is the higher training in concentration? Here, a monk, secluded from sense desires and unwholesome qualities, enters and abides in the first jhana, which is accompanied by directed thought, vitakka, and evaluation, vikara, with rapture and happiness born of seclusion. With the stilling of directed thought and evaluation, he enters and abides in the second jhana, which has internal confidence and unification of mind, without directed thought or evaluation, with rapture and happiness born of concentration. Further, with the fading away of rapture, he dwells as one equanimous, mindful, and clearly comprehending, experiencing bodily pleasure, and is declared by the noble ones as one who dwells in equanimity, mindfulness, and happiness, the third jhana. With the abandoning of pleasure and pain, and with the earlier disappearance of joy and sorrow, he enters and abides in the fourth jhana, which is neither painful nor pleasant, with pure equanimous mindfulness. This is the higher training in concentration. 3. What is the higher training in wisdom? Here, a monk abides as one endowed with wisdom, noble penetrative insight leading rightly to the extinction of suffering, equipped with the wisdom of arising and passing away. He understands as it really is, this is suffering, this is the origin of suffering, this is the cessation of suffering, this is the path leading to the cessation of suffering. He understands as it really is, these are the taints, asavas. This is the origin of the taints. This is the cessation of the taints. This is the path leading to the cessation of the taints. This is the higher training in wisdom. In order to remove them, always be mindful and learn without negligence. For the removal, the elimination, the abandonment, the calming, the renunciation, and the pacification of those cravings, one should study the higher virtue, the higher concentration, and the higher wisdom. These three trainings, the threefold training in virtue, concentration, and wisdom, should be studied while inclining the mind, knowing as it really is, seeing as it really is, closely observing as it really is, establishing the mind, believing through faith, arousing effort, manifesting mindfulness, concentrating the mind, understanding through wisdom, realizing what should be realized, comprehending what should be comprehended, abandoning what should be abandoned, practicing what should be practiced, and verifying what should be verified. Thus, in order to remove them, always be mindful and learn without negligence. Thus the Blessed One spoke. Thus the Blessed One answered, break through the root of fictitious names, declaring I exist, with clear wisdom. Whatever cravings there may be within, in order to remove them, always be mindful and learn without negligence. 923. 917. Whether within or without whatever phenomena dhammas there are, realize them as they truly are. However, do not become rigid in mind because of them, for that is not the quiescence, nirvana, proclaimed by those who are rightly established. Whether within or without whatever phenomena dhammas there are, realize them as they truly are. Whatever one's virtues are, or various wholesome phenomena, dhammas, or various indeterminate phenomena, dhammas, these should be known. What are one's various virtues? For instance, one should consider oneself as an ascetic from a noble family, or from a great family, or from a wealthy family, or from a very rich family. Or one should consider oneself as someone renowned and famous among both householders and ascetics. Or one should consider oneself as someone who has obtained robes, alms food, lodgings, and medicines for sickness. Or one should consider oneself as a specialist in scriptures, or as a keeper of the discipline, or as a preacher of the Dhamma teachings, or as someone dwelling in the forest, or as someone dependent on alms food, or as someone wearing rags, or as someone possessing only 3 robes, or as someone walking steadfastly without discrimination, or as someone refraining from eating after a certain time, or as someone practicing constant sitting without lying down, or as someone staying wherever the mat is spread. Or one should consider oneself as someone who has attained the first jhana, thus existing, or the second jhana, thus existing, or the third jhana, thus existing, or the fourth jhana, thus existing. Or one should consider oneself as someone who has attained absorption into the base of infinite space, or into the base of infinite consciousness, or into the base of nothingness, or into the base of neither perception nor non-perception. These are called one's various virtues. Whatever one's virtues are, they should be known, understood, discerned, comprehended, and penetrated. Thus, whether within whatever phenomena dhammas there are, realize them as they truly are. Or, again, without refers to the virtues of one's preceptor, upajjhaya, or teacher, acariya. Thus, or again without. However, do not become rigid in mind because of them. One should not become rigid, stubborn, conceited, arrogant, haughty, or proud due to one's own virtues or the virtues of others. One should not generate conceit thereby, nor exist as someone whose mind has become rigid, hardened, or puffed up. Thus, however, do not become rigid in mind because of them. For that is not the quiescence nirvana, proclaimed by those who are rightly established. It has not been declared, named, announced, taught, reported, established, revealed, distinguished, clarified, or explained by the righteous ones, the rightly established ones, the true persons, the awakened ones, the disciples of the awakened ones, or the solitary Buddhas as that quiescence nirvana. Thus, for that is not the quiescence nirvana, proclaimed by those who are rightly established. Thus the Blessed One said, whether within or without whatever phenomena dhammas there are, realize them as they truly are. However, do not become rigid in mind because of them, for that is not the quiescence nirvana, proclaimed by those who are rightly established. 924. 918 Therefore, do not think yourself superior, inferior, or equal. Do not dwell imagining yourself in countless forms having acquired such qualities. Therefore, do not think yourself superior. One should not generate pride thinking I am superior, whether by birth, lineage, being a son of a good family, having the beauty of a lotus, wealth, learning, occupation, skill, academic rank, knowledge, eloquence, or any other basis. Thus, therefore, do not think yourself superior, inferior, or equal. One should not generate inferiority thinking, I am inferior, whether by birth, lineage, abbreviated, or any other basis. One should not generate conceit thinking, I am equal, whether by birth, lineage, being a son of a good family, having the beauty of a lotus, wealth, learning, occupation, skill, academic rank, knowledge, eloquence, or any other basis. Thus, inferior or equal, having acquired countless forms, one who has acquired, completed, equipped, or possessed countless kinds of characteristics. Thus, having acquired countless forms. Do not dwell imagining yourself while abiding in the world. The self, Atman, is called the self, Atan. One should not abide in the world imagining or discriminating about oneself, generating discrimination. Thus, do not dwell imagining yourself while abiding in the world. Thus the Blessed One said, therefore, do not think yourself superior, inferior, or equal. Having acquired countless forms, do not dwell imagining yourself while abiding in the world. 925. 919. A monk should calm himself inwardly. Do not seek tranquility from external things. There is no self in inner tranquility. Or, how can something that is not the self exist? A monk should calm the inner self, means that one should quiet inner greed, anger, delusion, agitation, resentment, hypocrisy, cruelty, jealousy, stinginess, fascination, cunning, obstinacy, excitement, conceit, arrogance, negligence, all defilements of the mind, all evil deeds, all distress, all suffering, all feverishness, and all unwholesome actions. One should make them still, tranquil, calm, quiescent, and at peace. Thus, a monk should calm the inner self. Do not seek tranquility from external things means that one should not seek or pursue tranquility, stillness, calmness, quiescence, or peace through impure paths, wrong practices, or paths of no escape. Paths other than the four foundations of mindfulness, the four right efforts, the four bases of supernormal power, the five faculties, the five powers, the seven factors of enlightenment, or the Noble Eightfold Path. Thus, do not seek tranquility from external things. Inner tranquility refers to the stillness, tranquility, calmness, quiescence, and peace of inner greed, anger, delusion. Refer to 49. All unwholesome actions. Thus, inner tranquility. There is no self. Or how could something that is not the self exist? Does not exist is a negation. Self refers to the view of self not existing. Not self refers to the view of extinction not existing. Self refers to there being nothing grasped. Not self refers to there being nothing to let go of. If he has something grasped, then he has something to let go of. If he has something to let go of, then he has something grasped. An arhat has transcended both grasping and letting go, surpassing increase and decline. He is one who has completed the practice, walked the path. Refer to 8082. The cycle of birth and death does not exist for him. There is no further existence for him. Thus, there is no self. Or how could something that is not the self exist? Thus the Blessed One said, a monk should calm the inner self, Do not seek tranquility from external things. In inner tranquility, there is no self. Or how could something that is not the self exist? 926. 920. For example, in the ocean, waves do not rise, and everything exists as established. Thus, one should be established as an unwavering person. A monk should not harbor thoughts of superiority, arrogance, anywhere. 6. For example, in the ocean, waves do not rise, and everything exists as established, means that the ocean has a depth of 84,000 yojanas, a unit of length equivalent to the distance covered by a yoked ox in a day. The lower 40,000 yojanas of water are moved by fish and turtles. The upper 40,000 yojanas of water are moved by various winds. The middle 4,000 yojanas of water do not move, waver, shake, tremble, strongly tremble, or equally tremble. It does not move, collide, shake, get disturbed, wander, but remains calm and established. Their waves do not arise, and the sea exists as established. Thus, for example, in the ocean, waves do not rise, and everything exists as established. Furthermore, or between the 7 mountains surrounding Mount Meru, there are 7 great oceans called Siddhanta. There, the water does not move, waver, shake, tremble, strongly tremble, or equally tremble. It does not move, collide, shake, get disturbed, wander, but remains calm and established. Their waves do not arise, and the sea exists as established. Thus, for example, in the ocean, waves do not rise, and everything exists as established. Thus, one should exist as an unwavering person with an established mind, means that thus refers to practicing the metaphor literally. An established mind means that regarding gain, it does not waver. Regarding lack of gain, it does not waver. Regarding fame, it does not waver. Regarding lack of fame, it does not waver. Regarding praise, it does not waver. Regarding blame, it does not waver. Regarding pleasure, it does not waver. Regarding pain, it does not waver. It does not waver, shake, tremble, strongly tremble, or equally tremble. Thus, an established mind. Exist as an unwavering person means that wavering is called craving. Namely, greed raga, attachment, refer to 28. Strong desire, craving lobha, the root of unwholesomeness. If his wavering, which is craving, is abandoned, cut off, calmed at peace, and rendered incapable of arising, burned by the fire of wisdom, he is called an unwavering person. Since wavering has already been abandoned, he is an unwavering person. Regarding gain, he does not waver. Regarding lack of gain, he does not waver. Regarding fame, he does not waver. Regarding lack of fame, he does not waver. Regarding praise, he does not waver. Regarding blame, he does not waver. Regarding pleasure, he does not waver. Regarding pain, he does not waver. He does not waver, shake, tremble, strongly tremble, or equally tremble. Thus, exist as an unwavering person with an established mind. A monk should not indulge in any form of arrogance. Anywhere means that arrogance refers to 7 types of arrogance. The arrogance arising from greed, anger, delusion, conceit, wrong views, mental defilements, and actions. These should not be practiced, generated, produced, manifested, or brought to fruition. Anywhere refers to everywhere, wherever, or internally, externally, and both internally and externally. Thus, a monk should not indulge in any form of arrogance, anywhere. Therefore, the Blessed One said, just as no waves arise in the ocean, and everything exists in stability, so too should one exist with a mind that is stable and free from agitation. A monk should not indulge in any form of arrogance, anywhere. 927. 921. The interlocutor asked, O one with open eyes, you have proclaimed and transmitted, embodying the Dhamma, truth, yourself, removing dangers. May happiness be with you. Please teach the path of practice. Teach the precepts, Padamaka. Then, please explain meditation, concentration. 7. O one with open eyes, you have proclaimed and transmitted means that you have proclaimed, announced, explained, made known, established, revealed, distinguished, clarified, and elucidated. Thus, you have proclaimed and transmitted. O One with open eyes means that the Blessed One possesses 5 kinds of eyes. 1. The physical eye. 2. The divine eye. 3. The eye of wisdom. 4. The eye of enlightenment. And 5. The all-seeing eye. 1. How does the Blessed One possess the physical eye? The Blessed One's physical eye discerns 5 colors equally: blue, yellow, red, black, and white. Moreover, his eyelashes stand beautifully, being deep blue like the flower. Their roots are golden yellow like the kaikra flower. His eyeballs are crimson red like the glow of fireflies. In their center, they are pitch black, smooth, clear, and beautiful like wet arandaka, black rock. Their background is pure white like the morning star. Due to past good deeds, his physical eye has reached complete purity, allowing him to see clearly for 1 yojana by day and night, even in the darkest conditions, whether the sun has set on moonless nights in dense forests or under great storm clouds. No walls, doors, fences, mountains, thickets, or vines obstruct his vision. If a sesame fruit were hidden among a load of sesame seeds, he could pick it out. Thus, the Blessed One's physical eye is perfectly pure. This is how the Blessed One possesses the physical eye. 2. How does the Blessed One possess the divine eye? With a divine eye surpassing human vision, the Blessed One sees beings dying and being reborn, inferior and refined, beautiful and ugly, fortunate and unfortunate, according to their karmic actions. These noble beings, having performed evil deeds through body, speech, and mind, criticizing the noble ones, holding wrong views and practicing wrong conduct, are reborn in woeful states, hell after death. On the other hand, these noble beings, having performed good deeds through body, speech, and mind, not criticizing the noble ones, holding right views and practicing right conduct, are reborn in good destinations, heavenly realms after death. Thus, with a divine eye surpassing human vision, the Blessed One sees beings dying and being reborn, inferior and refined, beautiful and ugly, fortunate and unfortunate, according to their karmic actions. If he wishes, he can see 1 world system, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 100, 1,000 minor world systems, 2,000 intermediate world systems, 3,000 major world systems, or even a great thousandfold world system. Whatever extent he desires, he can see. Thus, the Blessed One's divine eye is perfectly pure. This is how the Blessed One possesses the divine eye. 3. How does the Blessed One possess the eye of wisdom? The Blessed One is endowed with great wisdom, abundant wisdom, swift wisdom, penetrating wisdom, sharp wisdom, profound wisdom, discriminating wisdom, analytical wisdom, unobstructed wisdom, possessing the 4 fearlessnesses, 10 powers, the bull of men, the lion of men, the dragon elephant of men, the noble steed of men, the patient ox of men, boundless wisdom, boundless majesty, boundless merit, wealth, great riches, a guide, a teacher, an instructor, a proclaimer, a convincer, a focuser, and a confirmer of faith. Indeed, he generates paths yet ungenerated, produces paths yet unproduced, announces paths yet unannounced, knows the path, is wise in the path, proficient in the path, and presently dwells following the path, while his disciples later become fully equipped. Indeed, he knows as one who truly knows, sees as one who truly sees, has become the eye of the world, the wisdom of the world, the Dhamma itself, the Brahma itself, a proclaimer of the Dhamma, a bestower of the Dhamma, a giver of benefits and guidance, a bestower of immortality, the Lord of the Dhamma, and the Tathagata. For him, there is nothing unknown, unseen, undiscovered, unattained, or uncomprehended by wisdom. Past, future, and present, all phenomena come into view through every aspect within the scope of the Buddha's wisdom. Whatever needs to be guided becomes known. Whether it is for personal benefit, others' benefit, mutual benefit, the benefit of the present life, future benefit, obvious benefit, profound benefit, secret benefit, concealed benefit, guiding benefit, guided benefit, sinless benefit, undefiled benefit, purifying benefit, or supreme benefit. All these thoroughly unfold within the wisdom of the Enlightened One. All physical actions thoroughly conform to the wisdom of the Awakened One, the Blessed One. All verbal actions, all mental actions, the wisdom of the Awakened One, the Blessed One, in the past is unshakable, in the future is unshakable, and in the present is unshakable. Whatever can be guided, to that extent it becomes wisdom. Whatever is wisdom, to that extent it becomes something that can be guided. That which takes what can be guided to its ultimate limit becomes wisdom. That which takes wisdom to its ultimate limit becomes what can be guided. Wisdom does not arise beyond what can be guided, and there is no path to be guided beyond wisdom. These qualities mutually take each other as their ultimate boundary. For example, when two surfaces of boxes are properly in contact, the surface of the lower box does not surpass the upper one, and the surface of the upper box does not surpass the lower one. They mutually take each other as their ultimate boundary. Just so, the qualities of what can be guided and wisdom in the awakened one, the Blessed One, mutually take each other as their ultimate boundary. Whatever can be guided, to that extent it becomes wisdom. Whatever is wisdom, to that extent it becomes something that can be guided. That which takes what can be guided to its ultimate limit becomes wisdom. That which takes wisdom to its ultimate limit becomes what can be guided. Wisdom does not arise beyond what can be guided, and there is no path to be guided beyond wisdom. These qualities mutually take each other as their ultimate boundary. In all phenomena, the wisdom of the awakened one, the Blessed One, arises. All phenomena are connected to the awakened one's focus, his aspirations, his intentions, and the arising of his mind. In all sentient beings, the wisdom of the awakened one, the Blessed One, arises. The Blessed One knows the desires, latent tendencies, conduct, and faith of all sentient beings. He discerns sentient beings as those with little dust, those with much dust, those with sharp faculties, those with weak faculties, those of good disposition, those of bad disposition, those easy to teach, those difficult to teach, those capable and those incapable. Including gods, demons, Brahmas, ascetics, and Brahmins, all beings, including humans and gods, thoroughly arise within the wisdom of the awakened one. For example, just as fish, turtles, or even great fish thoroughly arise within the ocean, precisely so, including gods, demons, Brahmas, ascetics, and Brahmins, all beings, including humans and gods, thoroughly arise within the wisdom of the awakened one. And just as winged creatures, or even the Garua, celestial bird, thoroughly arise in the expanse of the sky, precisely so, those who are equal in wisdom to Sariputta also thoroughly arise within the domain of the awakened one's wisdom. The wisdom of the awakened one fills and surpasses the wisdom of gods and humans. Thus, the noble sages, the Brahmin sages, the householder sages, and the ascetic sages, those who are subtle, engage in debates, and possess penetrating wisdom that shatters false views while walking the world. They prepare questions and approach the Tathagata to ask about hidden and concealed matters. Those questions are spoken, answered, and elucidated by the Blessed One. And those questioners accomplish them for the sake of the Blessed One. There, the Blessed One shines forth, precisely through this wisdom. Thus, in this way, the Blessed One is one with open eyes through the eye of wisdom. 4. How is the Blessed One one with open eyes through the eye of an awakened one? The Blessed One, with the eye of an awakened one, surveyed the world and saw sentient beings, those with little dust, those with much dust, those with sharp faculties, those with weak faculties, those of good disposition, those of bad disposition, those easy to teach, those difficult to teach, some who dwell in fear of the sins of another world, and others who do not. It is like, for instance, in a blue lotus pond, a red lotus pond, or a white lotus pond, where some blue, red, or white lotuses grow submerged in the water, remaining below the surface. Others grow equally in the water but rest at the surface, and still others grow equally in the water but rise above it, unstained by the water. Precisely so, the Blessed One, with the eye of an awakened one, surveyed the world and saw sentient beings, those with little dust, those with much dust, those with sharp faculties, those with weak faculties, those of good disposition, those of bad disposition, those easy to teach, those difficult to teach, some who dwell in fear of the sins of another world, and others who do not. The Blessed One knows, this person is of greedy conduct, this person is of angry conduct, this person is of deluded conduct, this person is of reflective conduct, this person is of faithful conduct, this person is of wise conduct. To those of greedy conduct, the Blessed One teaches the contemplation of impurity. To those of angry conduct, he teaches the practice of loving kindness. To those of deluded conduct, he establishes them in scriptural recitation, questioning on meanings, and at appropriate times in hearing the Dhamma and discussing the Dhamma, dwelling with a teacher. To those of reflective conduct, he teaches mindfulness of breathing. To those of faithful conduct, he teaches objects worthy of reverence, the good enlightenment of the awakened one, the goodness of the Dhamma, the good practice of the Sangha, and his own pure precepts. To those of wise conduct, he teaches the practice of insight meditation, contemplating impermanence, suffering, and non-self. Thus, the verse says, just as one standing on a mountain peak might survey the people far and wide, so too, the wise one with vision ascends the lofty tower of wisdom made of Dhamma, free from sorrow, and gazes upon sorrowful beings, conquered by birth and aging. Thus, the blessed one is one with open eyes through the eye of an awakened one. 5. How is the blessed one with open eyes through the all-seeing eye? The all-seeing eye is called the wisdom of the omniscient. The blessed one possesses, has perfected, owns, has fully equipped, and is endowed with the wisdom of the omniscient. Thus, the verse says, for him, there is nothing unseen in this world, nothing unknown, nothing unknowable. If there is anything to be guided, he has realized it all. The Tathagata is therefore called the one with the all-seeing eye. Thus, the blessed one is one with open eyes through the all-seeing eye. Therefore, it is said, O one with open eyes, you have proclaimed and transmitted. To remove danger as the Dhamma truth, embodied by oneself. What does, as the Dhamma truth, embodied by oneself mean? It means not through hearsay, not through tradition, not through oral transmission, not through scriptural mastery, not because of consideration, not because of reasoning, not through speculative investigation, not through acceptance based on conviction and views, but rather it is known directly by oneself, realized personally, and seen clearly as one's own present truth. Thus, it is called as the Dhamma truth embodied by oneself. To remove danger, what are the various dangers? There are two kinds of dangers. 1. The obvious dangers, and 2. The concealed dangers. 1. What are the obvious dangers? Lions, tigers, leopards, bears, hyenas, wolves, water buffaloes, elephants, snakes, scorpions, centipedes, or thieves or violent youths, whether they have already committed harmful acts or have yet to do so. Eye diseases, ear diseases, nose diseases, tongue diseases, body diseases, head diseases, outer ear ailments, mouth ailments, tooth ailments, coughs, asthma, colds, fevers, aging, stomach ailments, fainting, diarrhea, abdominal pain, epidemics, leprosy, tumors, smallpox, tuberculosis, epilepsy, skin rashes, itching, scabies, scratches, scabs, bleeding, diabetes, hemorrhoids, boils, ulcers, illnesses arising equally from bile, phlegm, wind, internal energy metabolism, or the combination of these three causes, illnesses caused by seasonal changes, unusual posture maintenance, sudden onset, karmic retribution, cold, heat, hunger, thirst, excrement, urine, bites or stings from flies, mosquitoes, wind, heat, or snakes, or such things as these. These are referred to as the obvious dangers. 2. What are the concealed dangers? Evil bodily actions, evil verbal actions, evil mental actions, the hindrance of desire for objects of craving, the hindrance of ill will, the hindrance of sloth and torpor, the hindrance of restlessness and remorse, the hindrance of doubt, greed, anger, delusion, resentment, hatred, deceit, cruelty, envy, stinginess, hypocrisy, cunning, arrogance, rage, conceit, overestimation of self, pride, negligence, all defilements of the mind, all evil actions, all distress, all suffering, all torment, all unwholesome activities. These are referred to as the concealed dangers. What is the meaning behind calling them various dangers, Paraseya? 1. They are called dangers because they thoroughly defeat, Parasahati. 2. They are called dangers because they arise equally leading to universal decline, Paraheya. 3. They are called dangers because they serve as a basis, Asaya. 1. How are they called dangers? Because they thoroughly defeat. These dangers crush, thoroughly defeat, conquer, overwhelm, completely take over and trample upon a person. In this way, they are called dangers because they thoroughly defeat. 2. How are they called dangers? Because they arise equally leading to universal decline. These dangers arise as obstacles to all wholesome qualities, leading to their universal decline. What are these wholesome qualities? The right path, the path that follows truth, the path without opposition, the path without obstruction, the path aligned with meaning, the path where Dhamma remains true to itself, the fulfillment of moral discipline, the guarding of the sense faculties, knowing moderation in food, the dedication to wakefulness, mindfulness, and clear comprehension, the practice of the 4 foundations of mindfulness, contemplation of body, feelings, mind, and phenomena, the 4 right efforts to prevent, abandon, develop, and maintain wholesome states, the 4 bases of spiritual power, desire, energy, mindfulness, and investigation, the 5 faculties, faith, energy, mindfulness, concentration, and wisdom, the 5 powers, same as faculties, the 7 factors of enlightenment, mindfulness, investigation of phenomena, energy, joy, tranquility, concentration, equanimity, and the Noble Eightfold Path, right view, intention, speech, action, livelihood, effort, mindfulness, and concentration. These dangers arise as obstacles to these wholesome qualities, causing their universal decline. Thus, they are called dangers because they arise equally leading to universal decline. 3. How are they called dangers? Because they serve as a basis? In dependence on these unwholesome qualities, they arise and establish themselves. For example, just as creatures dependent on holes dwell in holes, creatures dependent on water dwell in water, creatures dependent on forests dwell in forests, and creatures dependent on trees dwell in trees, precisely so, these unwholesome qualities arise and establish themselves. Thus, they are called dangers because they serve as a basis. This is what the Blessed One taught. Monks, a monk who has internal disciples and a teacher dwells in pain, without peace. Monks, how does a monk who has internal disciples and a teacher dwell in pain, without peace? Monks, here, a monk sees forms with the eye, and unwholesome thoughts and considerations that should be bound arise within him. These abide within him, because unwholesome qualities flow into him, Amvasavadi. He is said to have internal disciples, Antivasika. These become habitual for him. Because unwholesome qualities become habitual for him, Samyudakarati. He is said to have a teacher, Akariya. Monks, further, again in another way, a monk hears sounds with the ear, smells odors with the nose, tastes flavors with the tongue, touches tangible objects with the body, cognizes mental objects with the mind, and unwholesome thoughts and considerations that should be bound arise within him. These abide within him, because unwholesome qualities flow into him. He is said to have internal disciples. These become habitual for him. Because unwholesome qualities become habitual for him, he is said to have a teacher. Monks, thus, a monk who has internal disciples and a teacher dwells in pain, without peace. In this way, they are called dangers because they serve as a basis. This is what the Blessed One taught. Monks, there are 3 things that become inner impurities: inner non-friends, inner enemies, inner killers, and inner adversaries against righteousness, interests. What are these 3 things? Monks, greed becomes an inner impurity, an inner non-friend, an inner enemy, an inner killer, and an inner adversary against righteousness. Anger, delusion becomes an inner impurity, an inner non-friend, an inner enemy, an inner killer, and an inner adversary against righteousness. Monks, precisely these 3 things become inner impurities, inner non-friends, inner enemies, inner killers, and inner adversaries against righteousness. Thus, the verse says, greed gives rise to what is contrary to righteousness. Greed disturbs the mind. The terror arising within people do not perceive. The greedy do not know righteousness. The greedy do not see the Dhamma, truth. For when greed defeats a person, then it becomes the darkness of ignorance. It is anger, the thought of anger, that gives rise to what is unrighteous against the Dhamma. It is anger, the thought of anger that disturbs the mind. The fear arising from within the heart, this a person does not perceive. An angry person does not know righteousness, Dhamma. An angry person does not see the truth. Dhamma. When anger, the thought of anger, defeats a person, at that time, it becomes the darkness of ignorance. It is delusion, the thought of delusion, that gives rise to what is unrighteous against the Dhamma. It is delusion, the thought of delusion, that disturbs the mind. The fear arising from within the heart, this a person does not perceive. A deluded person does not know righteousness. Dhamma. A deluded person does not see the truth. Dhamma. When delusion, the thought of delusion, defeats a person, at that time, it becomes the darkness of ignorance. Thus it was also said, these dangers arise dependent on these conditions. This is what the Blessed One taught. Great King, there are three things. These qualities, dhammas, arise internally for a person, leading to what is unbeneficial, to suffering, and to an unsettled dwelling. What are these three things? Great King, greed as a quality arises internally for a person, leading to what is unbeneficial, to suffering, and to an unsettled dwelling. Great King, anger as a quality, abbreviated. Great King, delusion as a quality arises internally for a person, leading to what is unbeneficial, to suffering, and to an unsettled dwelling. Great King, these three qualities arise internally for a person, leading to what is unbeneficial, to suffering, and to an unsettled dwelling. In verse, it is said, greed and anger and further, delusion harm a person of evil mind. Just as bamboo bearing fruit destroys itself, so do these three things arising from oneself. Thus it was also said, these dangers arise dependent on these conditions. This is what the Blessed One taught. In verse, it is said, and greed and further, anger arise from themselves as causes. Discontent, pleasure, and shuddering arise from themselves. Various thoughts arise from themselves and cast away good intentions, just as youths cast away crows whose legs are tied for play. Thus it was also said, these dangers arise dependent on these conditions. To remove danger means to remove danger, to abandon danger, to bring danger to cessation, to relinquish danger, to find peace from danger, to attain the deathless state of nibbana. Thus, to remove danger through the Dhamma truth, realized in oneself. May you be happy. Teach the path means, teach the path. Teach the right path, the path that accords with the truth, the path without opposition, enemies. The path without obstruction, the path that follows the meaning, the path where the teaching remains true to itself, the fulfillment of morality in all its aspects, the guarding of the sense faculties, knowing moderation in food, devotion to wakefulness, mindfulness and clear comprehension, the establishment of the four foundations of mindfulness, the four right efforts, the four bases of spiritual power, the five faculties, the five powers, the seven factors of enlightenment, the noble eightfold path, and further, the path leading to nibbana. Please teach, proclaim, explain, announce, establish, reveal, analyze, clarify, and demonstrate this path. Thus, teach the path. May you be happy refers to the one who speaks to the awakened one, the Blessed One. Furthermore, or rather, what you have proclaimed, explained, announced, established, revealed, analyzed, clarified, and demonstrated. All of it is excellent, auspicious, skillful, free from fault, and worthy of practice. Thus, may you be happy. Teach the path. Teach the precepts, padamaka. And further, teach meditation, concentration, samadhi. Means, teach the precepts refers to discipline, the foundation, the beginning, the practice, self-control, mastery, and the entry into various wholesome qualities, dhammas. The leader, the foremost. And further, teach meditation refers to the stilling, establishment, stabilization, non-distraction, non-scattering, focused intention, tranquility, samatha, the faculty of concentration, samadhi indriya, the power of concentration, samadhi bala, and right concentration, samma samadhi. Thus, teach the precepts, and further, teach meditation. Thereupon, the one who had been manifested as the interlocutor spoke. The interlocutor asked, O one with open eyes, you have declared, to remove danger through the Dhamma truth, realized in oneself. May you be happy. Teach the path. Teach the precepts, padamaka. And further, teach meditation, concentration, Samadhi. 922. The Blessed One answered, "Let there be no one who moves restlessly with both eyes, seeking stimulation through the eyes. Keep the ears away from village talk, vulgar speech. Do not crave tastes. Further, in the world, let there be nothing regarded as mine through misperception. One should not exist as a person who moves restlessly with both eyes, seeking stimulation through the eyes. How does one exist in the world as someone who moves restlessly with the eyes? Here, some individuals exist in the world as those who move restlessly with their eyes. What has not yet been seen must be seen. What has already been seen must be equally transcended, ignored. They say. They wander from grove to grove, garden to garden, village to village, town to town, city to city, country to country, region to region, seeking to see forms, dedicating themselves to long journeys and aimless wandering. In this way, they exist in the world as restless movers of the eyes. Moreover, or rather, when a monk enters a town, walks along the streets and goes forth with an uncontrolled mind, gazing at elephants, horses, chariots, infantry, women, men, girls, boys, shop interiors, house entrances, upwards, downwards, and all around. They exist in the world as restless movers of the eyes. Furthermore, or rather, a monk sees forms with the eyes, becomes someone who grasps their appearance, and someone who grasps their associated characteristics. That is to say, if the faculty of the eye root is uncontrolled while dwelling in the world, unwholesome and unskillful qualities such as strong greed and dissatisfaction flow in. Due to this cause, they do not practice controlling the eye, fail to guard the faculty of the eye, and do not establish control over the faculty of the eye. In this way, they also exist in the world as restless movers of the eyes. Additionally, or rather, some venerable ascetics and Brahmins, after consuming alms food, dwell in the world as those devoted to spectating various forms of entertainment. These include dancing, singing, music, shows, storytelling, bells, cymbals, gongs, magic, acrobatics, juggling, stunts, elephant fights, horse fights, water buffalo fights, bull fights, goat fights, sheep fights, cock fights, quail fights, stick fights, fist fights, wrestling, mock battles, military formations, armies, parades, or similar entertainments. In this way, they exist in the world as restless movers of the eyes. How does one exist in the world without being a restless mover of the eyes? Here, a monk enters a town, walks along the streets, and goes forth with a controlled mind. He does not gaze at elephants, horses, chariots, infantry, women, men, girls, boys, shop interiors, house entrances, upwards, downwards, or all around. In this way, he exists in the world without being a restless mover of the eyes. Moreover, or rather, a monk sees forms with the eyes but does not become someone who grasps their appearance or associated characteristics. That is to say, if the faculty of the eye root is uncontrolled while dwelling in the world, unwholesome and unskillful qualities such as strong greed and dissatisfaction flow in. Due to this cause, they practice controlling the eye, guard the faculty of the eye, and establish control over the faculty of the eye. In this way, they exist in the world without being a restless mover of the eyes. Additionally, or rather, some venerable ascetics and Brahmins, after consuming alms food, dwell in the world as those not devoted to spectating various forms of entertainment. These include dancing, singing, music, shows, storytelling, parades, or similar entertainments. Having distanced themselves from spectating such forms of entertainment, they exist in the world without being restless movers of the eyes. One should not exist as a restless mover of both eyes, means that the restlessness of the eyes should be abandoned, removed, brought to cessation, and led to a state of non-arising. One should exist in the world as someone free from eye restlessness, having departed from it, distanced oneself from it, renounced it, and liberated oneself from it. One should dwell in the world with a mind free from constraints. Thus, one should not exist as a restless mover of both eyes. Keep the ears away from village talk, vulgar speech. Village talk refers to 32 kinds of animalistic discussions. Useless talk. These include discussions about kings, thieves, ministers, armies, fear, war, food, drink, clothing, vehicles, bedding, floral decorations, perfumes, relatives, villages, towns, cities, regions, women, men, heroes, roadside gossip, well-side gossip, deceased ancestors, various topics, worldly matters, oceans, affirmations or negations or similar things, discussions about forests, mountains, rivers, islands. Keep the ears away from village talk means that one should keep the ears away from village talk, protect them, control them, guard them, shield them, close them off and sever them from such talk. Thus, keep the ears away from village talk. And further, do not crave tastes. Taste refers to the taste of roots, stems, bark, leaves, flowers, fruits, sourness, sweetness, bitterness, spiciness, saltiness, stimulation, relaxation, astringency, deliciousness, unpleasantness, coldness, warmth. Some ascetics and Brahmins, driven by craving for taste, wander everywhere, searching thoroughly with the tip of their tongues for the highest flavors. If they obtain something sour, they search thoroughly for something not sour. If they obtain something not sour, they search thoroughly for something sour. If they obtain something cold, they search thoroughly for something warm. If they obtain something warm, they search thoroughly for something cold. Even when they obtain something, they are not satisfied and continue searching endlessly. Regarding flavors that please the mind, they become stained by desire, greedy, bound, indulgent, clinging, settled, attached, and obstructed. When their craving for taste is abandoned, cut off, calmed, at peace, unable to arise again, and burned away by the fire of wisdom, they eat food after proper reflection. Not for amusement, but for a life free from blame and for peaceful dwelling. For example, just as one burns a forest only to the extent necessary for nurturing trees, or as one oils an axle only to the extent necessary for carrying a load, or as one eats the flesh of one's child only to the extent necessary for crossing a desert, so too does a monk eat food after proper reflection, not for amusement, but for a life free from blame and for peaceful dwelling. He should abandon, remove, bring to cessation, and lead to a state of non-arising his craving for taste. He should exist in the world as someone free from craving for taste, having departed from it, distanced himself from it, renounced it, and liberated himself from it. He should dwell in the world with a mind free from constraints. Thus, and further, do not crave tastes. Furthermore, in the world, do not regard anything as mine through misperception. What is meant by mine? There are two kinds of attachment. 1. Craving-based attachment and 2. View-based attachment. 1. This is craving-based attachment. 2. This is view-based attachment. By abandoning craving-based attachment and relinquishing view-based attachment, one should not regard the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, forms, sounds, smells, tastes, touches, houses, communities, dwellings, gains, fame, praise, pleasures, clothing, almsfood, bedding, medicinal requisites for illness, the realm of desire, the realm of form, the formless realm, the survival of desire, the survival of form, the formless survival, the survival of perception, the survival without perception, the survival neither with nor without perception, survival with one aggregate, survival with 4 aggregates, survival with 5 aggregates, the past, the future, the present, or any phenomena that can be seen, heard, thought, or cognized as mine, nor grasp, cling to, or fixate on them. Whatever refers to whatever has the nature of form, feeling, perception, formations, or consciousness. In the world refers to the world of evil places, or the world of the 12 sense bases. Thus, furthermore, in the world, do not regard anything as mine through misperception. Thus, the Blessed One spoke. Let there not be any who are restless with both eyes, those who seek stimulation through the eyes. Keep the ears away from village talk, vulgar speech. And further, do not crave tastes. Furthermore, in the world, do not regard anything as mine through misperception. 929. 923, that is to say, when existing as one afflicted by illness and assailed by hunger, a monk should not grieve or lament anywhere. And further, he should not yearn for existence. Moreover, he should not be shaken by various terrifying things. What is meant by when existing as one afflicted by illness and assailed by hunger? Afflicted refers to the contact of disease. Contacted by disease, assailed, defeated, equipped, and possessed, if one exists in the world. If one exists in the world as one assailed and defeated by an eye disease, ear disease, abbreviated, nose disease, tongue disease, body disease, head disease, outer ear disease, mouth disease, tooth disease, cough, asthma, cold, fever, aging, abdominal disease, fainting, diarrhea, stomachache, epidemic, leprosy, swelling, smallpox, lung disease, epilepsy, skin irritation, itching, scabies, scratches, scabs, bleeding, diabetes, hemorrhoids, boils, ulcers, suffering caused equally by bile, phlegm, wind, energy metabolism, the combination of bile, phlegm, and wind, seasonal, changes, unusual postures, sudden onset, karmic retribution, cold, heat, hunger, thirst, excrement, urine, and the contact of various flies, mosquitoes, wind, heat, and snakes, being assailed, defeated, equipped, and possessed, then existing in the world. Thus, when existing as one afflicted by illness and assailed by hunger, a monk should not grieve or lament anywhere means that grief, lamentation, grieving, lamenting, the act of grieving, the act of lamenting, verbal commotion, uproar, crying out, the act of crying out, and the state of crying out should not be performed, generated, produced, manifested, or brought to fruition. Anywhere means everywhere, wherever, anywhere, whether internally, externally, or both internally and externally. Thus, a monk should not grieve or lament anywhere. And further, he should not yearn for existence, means that one should not yearn for existence in the realm of desire, nor for existence in the realm of form, nor for existence in the formless realm, nor yearn strongly, nor yearn firmly. Hence, and further, he should not yearn for existence. Moreover, he should not be shaken by various terrifying things. Terrifying things, according to one aspect, are also fear and dread. They are precisely that, the two are identical. This is what was declared by the Blessed One. Is it not true that this very fear and dread will come without fail, without abandoning one? Externally described objects of terror include lions, tigers, leopards, bears, hyenas, wolves, water buffaloes, elephants, snakes, scorpions, centipedes, or thieves, or violent youths, whether as those who have already committed acts, completed offenders, or as those who have yet to commit acts, attempted offenders, should exist accordingly. Further, according to another aspect, fear is internal, arising equally from the mind, described as fear, that which causes fear, awe, hair-raising terror, trembling of the heart, and dread. The fear of birth, aging, sickness, death, kings, thieves, fire, water, self-criticism, others' criticism, punishment, rods, evil destinies, waves, crocodiles, whirlpools, sharks, livelihood, disgrace, trembling in crowds, arrogance, that which causes fear, awe, hair-raising terror, trembling of the heart, and dread. Moreover, he should not be shaken by various terrifying things, means that when seeing or hearing various terrifying things, one should not be shaken, strongly shaken, or equally shaken, should not be afraid, should not dread, should not universally fear, should not be terrified, should not cause panic, but should exist and dwell in the world as one free from fear, free from awe, free from dread, not fleeing, having abandoned fear and dread, and having departed from hair-raising terror. Thus, moreover, he should not be shaken by various terrifying things. Thus, the Blessed One spoke. When existing as one afflicted by illness and assailed by hunger, a monk should not grieve or lament anywhere. And further, he should not yearn for existence. Moreover, he should not be shaken by various terrifying things. 930. 924. Thereupon, regarding various foods, various drinks, and further, various solid foods and various clothes, if obtained, accumulation should not be practiced. And further, if not obtaining them, one should not worry about it. Thus, the Blessed One spoke regarding various foods, various drinks, and further, various solid foods and various clothes. Even if obtained, accumulation should not be practiced. And further, if not obtaining them, one should not worry. What are various foods? Various foods refer to rice, gruel, flour, bread-like items, fish, and meat. Various drinks refer to 8 kinds of drinks. Drinks made from amba fruit, jambu fruit, kaka fruit, maca fruit, sweet drinks, mild drinks, saruca tree drinks, and parka tree drinks. Additionally, there are another 8 kinds of drinks. Drinks made from kosamba fruit, cola fruit, batera fruit, curdled milk, oil, dairy milk, gruel, and liquid drinks. Various solid foods refer to solid foods made from flour, confectionery, roots, bark, leaves, flowers, and fruits. Various clothes refer to 6 types of clothing materials: linen, cotton, silk, wool, hemp, and coarse hemp. Thus, regarding various foods, various drinks, and further, various solid foods and various clothes. Even if obtained, accumulation should not be practiced means that even if obtained refers to acquiring, attaining, reaching, finding, or gaining, not through false speech, not through chatter, not through prophecy, not through deceit, not through the pursuit of gain by gain, not through giving wood, not through giving bamboo, not through giving leaves, not through giving flowers, not through giving fruits, not through giving washing powder, not through giving cosmetic powder, not through giving paint, not through giving tooth-cleaning sticks, not through giving washing water, not through flattery, not through half-cooked lies, not through ingratiating behavior, not through backbiting, not through geomancy, not through animal lore, not through physiognomy, not through astrology, not through sending messengers, not through diplomatic envoys, not through running errands, not through medical practice, not through building activities, not through exchanging alms food, not through exchanging gifts, but through Dhamma, truth, and righteousness, acquiring, attaining, reaching, finding, or gaining. Accumulation should not be practiced means that one should not accumulate food, drink, clothes, vehicles, bedding, fragrances, or wealth. One should not generate, produce, manifest, or bring to fruition such accumulations. Thus, even if obtained, accumulation should not be practiced. And further, if not obtaining them, one should not worry means that whether it is food, drink, clothes, a house, a community, a dwelling, gain, fame, praise, comfort, robes, alms food, bedding, necessary medicines for illness or caregivers. If one does not obtain these things, one should not fear, dread, universally fear, be terrified, or cause panic. Instead, one should exist and dwell in the world as one free from fear, free from shock, free from dread, not fleeing, having abandoned fear and terror, and having departed from hair-raising dread. Thus, and further, if not obtaining them, one should not worry. Thus, the Blessed One said, regarding various foods, various drinks, and further, various solid foods and various clothes. Even if obtained, accumulation should not be practiced. And further, if not obtaining them, one should not worry. 931. 925. A meditator should not exist as one who roams restlessly, seeking objects of desire. One should detach from regretful thoughts, never neglect mindfulness, and dwell in quiet places with few sounds as one's sitting and lying places. 11. A meditator should not exist as one who roams restlessly refers to what? A meditator refers to one who practices the first meditation, first jhana, the second meditation, the third meditation, the fourth meditation, meditation with both thought and examination, meditation without thought but with subtle examination, meditation without thought and without examination, meditation accompanied by joy, meditation without joy, meditation accompanied by bliss, meditation accompanied by happiness, meditation accompanied by equanimity, meditation on emptiness, meditation on signlessness, meditation on wishlessness, worldly meditation, supramundane meditation, one who delights in meditation, one who concentrates on a single object, and one who honors the highest truth, Paramatha. Thus, a meditator. One should not exist as one who roams restlessly means how does one exist as one who roams restlessly in the world? Here, some individuals exist as those who wander aimlessly, moving from forest to forest, garden to garden, village to village, town to town, city to city, country to country, region to region, dedicating themselves to long journeys and aimless wandering, thus dwelling in the world. In this way, they exist as those who roam restlessly in the world. Furthermore, or perhaps, a monk may exist within the monastery's garden as one who is possessed of restless feet. He is not grounded in righteousness, Dhamma, nor does he act from appropriate motives. With an elated mind and an unquiet heart, he moves from one dwelling to another, from one monastery building to another, from one half-roofed pavilion to another, from one tall building to another, from one storied house to another, from one cave to another, from one mountain hollow to another, from one hut to another, from one tower to another, from one watchtower to another, from one round chamber to another, from one hall to another, from one service hall to another, from one tent to another, from the base of one tree to the base of another. Moreover, if there are monks sitting in a certain place, he goes there. If there is one person present, he becomes the second. If there are two, he becomes the third. If there are three, he becomes the fourth. There, amidst many idle talks and frivolous discussions, such topics arise. Discussions about kings, thieves, ministers, armies, fears, wars, food, drinks, clothing, bedding, flower decorations, perfumes, relatives, vehicles, villages, towns, cities, regions, women, heroes, roadside gossip, well-side chatter, deceased ancestors, various matters, worldly affairs, the ocean, whether something exists or does not exist, or things of this nature. Thus, he exists as one with restless feet. To avoid existing as one with restless feet means that restlessness of the feet should be abandoned, removed, brought to cessation, and led to a state of non-arising. One should exist as one who has departed from restlessness of the feet, having separated, distanced, renounced, and withdrawn. One should dwell in the world with a mind free from constraints, walk through the world, practice conduct, maintain discipline, preserve actions, safeguard oneself, and sustain oneself. One should delight in solitude, embrace stillness, dedicate oneself to inner tranquility, Samatha, not neglect meditation, possess insight, Vipassana, utilize empty dwellings as a meditator, rejoice in meditation, focus on a single purpose, and respect the highest truth, Paramatha. Thus, to avoid existing as one with restless feet. To abandon regretful thoughts and never neglect mindfulness means that regret refers to regret caused by the hands, regret caused by the feet, or regret caused by both hands and feet. It arises from misunderstanding what is inappropriate as appropriate, what is appropriate as inappropriate, what is blameless as blameworthy, or what is blameworthy as blameless. Such forms of regret, regretting, experiencing remorse, and mental distraction, are collectively called regret. Furthermore, regret and mental distraction arise from two causes: actions performed and actions left undone. How do regret and mental distraction arise from these? I have committed bodily misconduct. I have failed to perform good bodily conduct. I have spoken falsely. I have failed to speak truthfully. I have harbored ill will. I have failed to cultivate right view. From such reflections, regret and mental distraction arise. Similarly, I have killed a living being. I have taken what was not given. I have engaged in misconduct with sensual desires. I have lied. I have spoken harsh words. I have indulged in idle chatter. I have been greedy. I have harbored hatred. I have held wrong views. All these lead to regret and mental distraction. Furthermore, I have not fulfilled the perfection of virtue. I have failed to guard the senses. I have not practiced moderation in eating. I have neglected wakefulness. I lack mindfulness and clear comprehension. I have not cultivated the four foundations of mindfulness, the four right efforts, the four bases of spiritual power, the five faculties, the five powers, the seven factors of enlightenment, or the noble eightfold path. I have not comprehended suffering, abandoned its cause, practiced the path, or realized its cessation. All these give rise to regret and mental distraction. To abandon regret means to distance oneself from it, remove it, bring it to cessation, and dwell with a liberated mind, free from bonds and constraints. Thus, to abandon regretful thoughts. Never neglect mindfulness. means one should earnestly practice all wholesome qualities without delay or hesitation. One should live with unwavering determination, resolve, and diligence, reflecting, when shall I perfect the precepts, develop